People in Nara have been walking through a giant wreath at the Todaiji temple, hoping to bring themselves good health. Buddhist monks were the first to conduct the ritual. The wreath is made of miscanthus grass and is more than 2 meters in diameter. Visitors walked through the wreath in the hall of the Great Buddha as the monks chanted sutras. A woman from nearby Kyoto says she made a wish to stay healthy as she walked through the wreath. A man from Saitama, near Tokyo, said he is excited that his rare ritual could bring him good health. The ritual dates back to the 10th century and was once an act to ward off the plague. It is now practiced to help people cope with the summer heat. A university research team in Japan has developed a new drone that can fly indoors without using GPS. This will be used for inspecting the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. A research group from Chiba University developed the plane along with about 10 firms, including Japanese electronics makers. It's about 1 square meter and has 6 propellers. Conventional drones need positioning information provided by infrared and other rays to fly indoors where GPS does not work. The new model has a sensor to allow it to figure out its position and surroundings. It is designed to avoid obstacles. Global competition is intensifying in the drone market. Amazon and Google are among companies developing unmanned planes. Men dressed as samurai and riding on horseback have paraded the streets of a town in Japan's Fukushima prefecture to open a 1,000-year-old festival. The 3-day event took place near the ruins of a castle in the Soma region. Participants performed a ceremony held before battles in ancient times. Kiyotani Soma, son of the 33rd head of the Soma family, led a team of around 50 men. He told them to pray for Fukushima, which is recovering from an earthquake and tsunami 3 years ago. He then ordered them to advance to the site where they will reenact a battle on Sunday. The blast of conch shells signaled the start of their parade through the city. Locals staged a smaller version of the festival in 2011 in the wake of the disaster. The event returned to its normal size last year. Artists from Japan, China and South Korea are showing collaborative sand sculptures at a fair in Yokohama City near Tokyo. Officials unveiled about 30 works to the media the day before the opening. A highlight is a sculpture of the Great Wall of China, the UNESCO World Heritage Site. An official said the works are so well made, they give the illusion of being real. He says he hopes visitors will enjoy the exhibition. The fair is open until November 3rd. Tango is a dance synonymous with Argentina, and Uruguay is tearing up dance floors around the Turkish city of Istanbul. The Latin moves were introduced in the 1920s and they're becoming even more popular today. A group of international tango goers are enjoying a day of tango and milonga dancing on a boat. The atmosphere is reminiscent of Buenos Aires, but this background view is actually Istanbul. Almost every month, tango followers from around the world gather in the city to enjoy several days of dancing. They come from America, Europe, Middle East, and even Latin America. Mulay Moro, an amateur tango dancer, is dancing with his partner on the boat's deck, with Istanbul's skyline over the Bosporus behind them.
The quality of tango in Istanbul is outstanding. I love it here. You know, you go to some places and you're not so sure about the quality when you ask someone, but here you feel very confident in asking anyone because everyone is very good and you can tell that they have a passion and interest in it.
Most of the dancers on board agree with Moro. They are all impressed by the passion showed by Turkish people towards tango. Argentinian Dr. Betty Grumfeld, in her 50s, says, in Turkey you won't find a milonguero from Buenos Aires, people who are born into a tango environment, but the technique here is fantastic. In Buenos Aires, people learn tango from their parents and grandparents, but here in Europe, people go to tango lessons. Since the mid-1990s, tango dancing has blossomed in Istanbul. Nowadays, dozens of schools are teaching this Argentinian dance that, according to local tango followers, has a lot in common with Turkish culture. One of these schools is Tangolik in Istilak Avenue. Almost every day, students gather here to improve their tango and milonga skills. Saran Yigit, a former computer software designer, discovered this dance 3 years ago and now is one of the teachers at Tangolik School. He says that in the beginning he had some concerns about the dance, but eventually he became so passionate about it that he won the first award as a dancer in the Turkish Tango Championship together with his partner. Turkish actor Aron Bunyal is one of the many students at Tangolik School, began dancing tango 1.5 years ago. 3 years ago, an Argentinian friend told him about tango and made him listen to some tango music. Aron felt interested. After that, he and his friend went to a tango dancing show, watched it and felt fascinated and liked it a lot. The owner of the school, Ligin Tetikan, discovered tango 10 years ago and it became her passion. She says that tango is so popular in Turkey because the local culture has a lot in common with the Argentinian one. Iglikan Tetikan says the Turkish people feel a strong passion for the people they love and their lovers. She believes the passion can be noticed when they are dancing tango. But the Turkish and Argentinian tango are not quite the same. For instance, the bandoneon was replaced in Turkey by the accordion because by the time tango arrived in the Eurasian nation in the 1910s and 20s, nobody knew how to play a concertina. Gypsy people brought the accordion to the Bosporus, so there were many musicians familiar with this instrument at the time in Istanbul. These are some of the differences explained by writer and researcher Gökhan Akkura in his book about the local tango history. He says that it was Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the founder of the Turkish Republic, who introduced tango in his project as a way to westernize Turkey and improve women's rights. Tango arrived to Istanbul around 1917. 2 decades later, Necdet Koyurturk became one of the most important tango composers and musicians in Turkey and the Middle East. His most famous song, Papatya or Daisy, was the first Turkish vinyl recorded to be printed in the UK. Necdet's son, Özdemir Koyurturk, is today one of the most famous tango musicians in Turkey. Koyurturk says he is lucky that his father was such a popular tango composer. The musician, who often travels to Argentina, says that his nation's style of tango has more influence from jazz and some differences in the lyrics compared to the Argentinian one. He says in Turkish tango there is mostly love, romance. Of course, Argentinian tango has these topics as well, but Turkish tango is more naive. Argentinian tango talks about everything. The Turkish tango music tradition has been declining because it's a difficult way to make a living, but that dance remains a passion for many in Istanbul. The Japan Coast Guard ship Yashima arrived at the port of Colombo Monday, the first goodwill visit since the signing of an MOU between Sri Lanka President Mahinda Rajapakse and Japan Prime Minister Shinzo. The crew was also in Sri Lanka to conduct a training cruise with a view to promote international friendship of Japan Coast Guard.
Since Sri Lanka is its location is very important. So located in the middle of Indian Ocean. Therefore, we think Sri Lankan Coast Guard must develop and secure the area. So we, Japan Coast Guard, would like to help Sri Lankan Coast Guard to develop their law enforcement capacity.
Officers and sailors of the visiting Japan Coast Guard ships Yashima participated in beach cleaning campaign at the Mount Lavinia beach Tuesday morning. A total of 30 Japan Coast Guard personnel along with the SLCG personnel actively participated in cleaning the Mount Lavinia beach area. The motivation and understanding was that the cleanup was an initiative that would encourage strengthening relationships between two countries. Sri Lanka Coast Guard personnel stationed in the West region continue to engage in this community-based activity on a routine basis to ensure that the beach areas are kept clean for the public. The Japan Coast Guard personnel were hosted for Sri Lankan breakfast at the end of the event. A serving of samgyetang boils in a pot. The traditional chicken soup is most popular in the summer. Samgyetang is one of the best summer dishes in Korea and is thought to help boost good health in the scorching weather. Park Yong-hyun, a customer, says samgyetang is rich in protein and contains ginseng, making it a good health booster. The Korean government is seeking global standardization for samgyetang, which is also gaining popularity overseas. This week, the government will submit an application to the Codex Alimentarius Commission, the International Food Standards Committee, with some 180 countries. The committee will decide on whether to accept the application in a meeting. The application defines the dish's essential ingredients as well as specific technical details of the recipe. A dish can be recognized as samgyetang only when it is made with chicken, ginseng, and sticky rice. In order to distinguish it from chicken porridge, a serving of samgyetang must contain a whole chicken. A romanized name of the dish, samgyetang, will be used instead of an English description. Kim Jong-chan from Korea Food Research Institute says global standardization means that the guidelines proposed by Korea will be used as international standards. The international designation will help increase the export of samgyetang. Samgyetang is the only processed food made with chicken and vegetables. Experts say that the traditional chicken soup is likely to earn a Codex designation as Korea won global standardization for the main ingredient ginseng in 2009. This extravagant fantasy musical features over 400 costumes, while the stage sets are changed more than 50 times. After passing through a narrow corridor, the spectators arrive backstage where they can see all kinds of accessories, decorations, and costumes. Costumes can be put on right away, the accessories have been lined up according to their numbers, and stage sets have been sorted out according to each scene they'll be used in. Seo Jeong-min, a stage director of the musical Wicked, says everything is always placed in designated spots before the performance begins. That's a promise they have to make to the cast and production staff. This chasing scene is staged in the living room, the bedroom, and then all the way to a graveyard. The scene looks very realistic, but the cast don't have to move around much thanks to the revolving stage. 4 large revolving platforms underneath the stage create a movie-like effect which helps portray the characters more vividly. Shin Chu-soo, a musical producer, says a revolving stage alone can't produce the right effect. It also needs the right lighting and video between the scenes to express the mood better. Musicals continue to enrapture audiences with the impressive acting skills of their cast, creativity, and technology. This year's Anycom and Games Hong Kong Fair was held to celebrate a culture surrounding comics and video games. There were 2 video games, merchandise, manga, and more. The fair has everything die-hard fans could wish for.
Tons of people, there's all kinds of booths, tons of people lined up to come here, so it's a big deal.
The fair, which began as part of the Hong Kong Book Fair years ago, has now become its own gala event covering more than just comics. Exhibitors sell a variety of niche toys and Japanese merchandise, among other things. Video game developers also put up a show. Most are from overseas, but some of them come from Hong Kong. A variety of events take place at the fair. One brand new event called Creative Paradise showcases self-published works from Chinese and Japanese artists. Another event highlights up-and-coming talent in the Chinese comic industry. For holistically oriented fans, there are competitions on model building skills. This one has competitors recreating scenes from Hong Kong using tiny plastic bricks. But the most popular event here is by far the costumes competition. Here in the backstage, these people are about to show off their costumes to people at this year's Hong Kong Anycom. Known as cosplayers, they often spend thousands of dollars and months handcrafting special costumes so that they can emulate their favorite characters. It's the biggest cosplay event of the year in Hong Kong, and it even attracts enthusiasts from Japan, Malaysia, and Thailand. Their devotion to the hobby may seem unusual to some, but it's become an integral part of the event.